Alright, here I got the bumper. All the little air pockets that I found in the sun the other day. What I did was I went and grinded it down where those air pockets were, so I know where they're at. So when I put my filler on there, I know exactly where I have to go, and I don't have to go and hunt it down. And then I took a shop vac right here and I sucked out all the dirt. So remember, filler doesn't stick to dirt very well. Any dirt that you have on this will not stick. So you have to vacuum out that dust or blow it out. Alright, so I'm about to fill this with some filler. And this is how much filler I need for the whole bumper. Okay, you don't need a whole lot. Unless you have a really bad part that pops out and it's got a lot of little, deep voids in it, you shouldn't need a whole lot of filler. Sometimes on my season 4 nose I'll have a seam line that I ran through here which needs a skim coat. Sometimes I need a little filler there. This one I did the mold a little bit different, where the seam line just runs through here on the top and it doesn't run through there. It actually runs through the side over here, so I don't ever have to fill anything up on top there. But yeah, we'll get that down, put the filler in there and sand it down. Alright, here's the bumper after it's been sanded with 180 grit on a block. And you see there's very little filler left on the bumper. See the little tiny air pockets, they're just real small at this point. Once you sand off that filler, you don't have much left, and that's what you want. Except for here, I got a little bit on this mold line that I left because I want that nice and flat. But that's just a skim coat. And then you can see I went around, after I sanded it, I still had some imperfections that I missed. Sometimes when you're sanding, those air pockets will pop up, or you'll sand too much and you'll go into the gel coat. Sand through the gel coat. So I went around every little tiny nick, even if it's a pinhole. There's one right here that's kind of a little bit big right there. But that's okay, it's not a big deal. Just go back and add more filler in these little spots here, and that's what I'm going to do. So when I put my primer on, those little pinholes won't even show up. And that's how you how I properly finish these bumpers is just sand it, fill, sand, fill. Make sure everything is that you can find is done, because you don't want these things to pop up later on in the paint. And it's fiberglass, guys. I made this by hand. I took resin, which is right here, and fiberglass mat, and you make a part with it. Okay, so this is all hand-built stuff with my own hands. So it's not going to be perfect. It's not made in some factory in China or something. These are handmade parts made by me, by myself. So I do the best that I can to make them as good as I can. Alright, here's the bumper ready for primer. And you can see this black gel coat really gets grayed out as you sand it, and it looks the way it does. Very dull. But we're going to primer that with 2-3 coats of primer, and it's going to bring out that fancy looking bumper look that we all like. Nobody likes to get a bumper like this, all scratched up looking. Although it would be the ideal way you want to have it for painting, primer and then paint. So anyways, I'm gonna go and it's getting a little bit dark. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to shoot it tonight, but if not, I'll shoot it tomorrow, but we'll see. Alright, so this season 2-3 bumper will be ready for primer tomorrow. I'll primer it. It's a little late today. And then I'll go and pop out this bumper here. This bumper's going out to Joe. And yeah, there's your bumper. It's in the mold. I'll be popping it probably tomorrow. We'll start working on it in the next day or two. Alright, just a quick tip, under 30 seconds hopefully. When you get a bumper or any fiberglass part that's got a gel coat surface, You're going to clean it with your wax and grease remover. And please, 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 please don't forget to sand it with at least 180 to 220 grit sandpaper. You got to scuff this up before you primer it, because if you primer it directly to the gel coat, it's really shiny. It's not going to stick. Your paint's going to peel. After you paint the car, it might be okay for a little bit, but eventually that gel coat is going to delaminate from your paint. It's going to look like a paint job that's where the paint just flips right off, comes right off, like a Mako paint job or Earl Scheib paint job, this quick $200 paint job. It's going to look like that even if you get really expensive paint. So make sure you 180 to 220 grit, scuff it up with a red Scotch-Brite, whatever you could do to get that thing nice and scuffed, ready for primer, for that mechanical adhesion. And that's a wrap for the night. More work tomorrow. Alright, so just started to come out to the garage today to primer this thing, and I realized, oh my god, I missed a little tiny little divot there, another one there, and a little tiny little pinhole there. So I went and filled that in. A couple little, any little imperfections that I missed the other day, I went and filled, because I'm not perfect. So that's why you always got to check these things, make sure you get everything. So I'll go and sand those out, and I'll put a video up of me priming this real quick. Alright, just finished about 3 coats of primer, and it's still curing at the moment. Went around and dabbed any little pinholes or imperfections in the primer, so when this sands out, it'll be nice and smooth. And this primer is pretty thick, so should have no problems sanding it down nice and smooth, ready for paint. Alright, so I'll let this cure up. So this thing's ready for shipping. The next video I'll be doing is another 2-3 season bumper just like this one. It's going out to a customer named, I think his name's Joe. And yeah, I'll be pulling this out in the next video and prepping, sanding, primering it, and getting that ready for him. And then after that, I'll be doing a season 1 bumper next after this bumper for another customer. That customer is all the way out in Germany, so quite a far ways from me. But yeah, he ordered a season 1 bumper with grills, and he wants it all finished. So I'll be working on that after this one. Till next time, guys, this is Jacob, NightRiderShop.com.